Before sunrise, a horn cuts the dark and 10,000 men move as one. Not to chase glory, but to lift weight, dig earth, and hold a line that might never be attacked. A Roman soldier's day is not a parade. It is a clock that never stops. Step after step, breath after breath, habit beating fear. You hear leather creak, shields scrape, dice click, and a quiet laugh that breaks the cold for a moment, then vanishes. What makes an army unbeatable is not one heroic charge. It is a routine lived so hard it turns into instinct. Today you will walk that routine, from the first mouthful of grain porridge to the last hour of guard, when the dark presses close and sleep feels like a trap. By the end you will know why Rome lasted. Not because men wanted fame, but because they learned to do the same hard things, the same way, every single day. If you want more grounded history that feels lived in, hit like. Subscribe for deep dives that respect your time. Share this with a friend who loves military history. Your support helps me make bigger, better episodes. Before the sun rises, the camp is silent. A mist hangs low, clinging to the ground, and then it comes, a sharp, metallic call from a horn that cuts through the dark. In that moment, 10,000 men stir at once. Cloaks rustle, sandals scrape dirt, and breath steams in the chill. For a Roman soldier, the day does not begin with choice, it begins with duty. You rise before light, muscles stiff from the hard ground. Your back remembers every mile from yesterday's march. The cold bites, but there's no time to linger. You pull on your tunic, strap the leather of your caligae tight around your feet, and reach for your armor. The larica feels heavier in the morning, but habit takes over. Every buckle, every strap, every movement is automatic. Discipline replaces thought. There's no breakfast as you'd know it. The legionnaire's meal is quick. A handful of grain porridge called pulse, a piece of hard bread, maybe a strip of salted pork if the supply line's held. You chew fast because the horn will sound again, and lateness is not forgiven. The centurion's cane has no patience for slow hands. Outside, dawn bleeds faint light across rows of tents, each one holding 8 men, a contubernium. Together you form a machine that cannot stop. Each man knows his place. No shouting is needed. When the second horn sounds, every soldier stands ready, pack strapped, helmet under arm. The silence before inspection feels like pressure in your chest. You wait for the centurion's gaze to pass over you, searching for a loose strap, a dull blade, a missing nail in your sandal. He finds none, nods, and the tension breaks. The weight on your shoulders is near 40 kilograms. Armor, shield, 2 pila, short sword, cooking pot, wooden stakes for the night's fort, and 3 days of rations. It is not a burden. It is identity. The pack is called Sarcina, and without it you are not a soldier. Every man carries his world on his back. As the column forms, the air shifts. You can feel the rhythm before the first step. A legion moves like a single living thing, guided by routine drilled so deep it feels like instinct. Orders are few. Eyes forward. Breathe. Move. Somewhere inside you might wonder what day it is. But it doesn't matter. Time in the Legion is not counted in dates. It is counted in tasks. Dig, march, build, guard. Sleep, rise, repeat. You learn to measure life by the sound of the horn and the weight of the gear. There's a strange comfort in that. Predictability means survival. A man who knows his task does not need to question it. In the early hours, when your stomach turns from the grain and the damp air numbs your fingers, you remind yourself that every Roman soldier before you lived this same hour. From Germania to Africa, from Gaul to Judea, you are not alone. You are part of something that began before you and will continue long after you. The sun breaks through the fog, gilding helmets in soft gold. It looks beautiful for a moment. Then someone calls the order to move and the beauty is gone. You shoulder your scutum, the curved shield that will save your life, and fall into step. One heartbeat, one breath, one step after another. This is how Rome moves. Not in glorious charges or shouted speeches, but in the quiet obedience of men who do the same thing every day without fail. And that is the secret no one tells you. The strength of Rome is not in its emperors, not in marble or gold. It's in this moment, 1,000 small acts repeated until they become truth. You will walk for hours before the next break. But right now, as the line starts forward and dust rises from 100 feet ahead of you, all that matters is the road and the order to follow it. Every great empire is built on mornings like this. Cold, heavy, and full of quiet resolve. The horn fades behind you, replaced by the steady rhythm of sandals striking dirt. At first it feels simple. Left, right, left. But soon the weight sets in. The sarcina pulls at your shoulders. The strap rubs against your collarbone. Every step grinds dust into your throat. And still you march. The Roman legion moves like a river. Endless, disciplined, unstoppable. 20 kilometers is the day's measure, sometimes more if the commander demands it. You don't question distance. You don't count steps. You fix your eyes on the man ahead and keep pace. The sound becomes a kind of music. Shields clinking, armor creaking, the faint jingle of harness rings. It fills the air until it becomes your world. No one talks much. A few quiet words pass between contubernales, tentmates who share your food and sleep beside you each night. They might joke softly about a dull blade or a missing sandal nail. But most of the time, silence rules. Breath is precious. Marching eats energy faster than battle. Now and then you pass a milestone carved from stone. It tells you how far you are from Rome. Hundreds of miles, maybe. For a moment you imagine the city. The marble, the markets, the noise. Then you blink and all you see again is dirt and sky. Rome feels like another planet. The centurions walk the line. They watch for stragglers, for men who fall behind. Their vine sticks are ready. A single blow reminds you what's expected. There is no sympathy for tired feet. Weakness spreads fast, and the legion has no cure for it except pain. Yet, something deeper than fear keeps you moving. It's the rhythm. Step, breathe, lift. It becomes mechanical, almost peaceful. You learn to move without thought. The body obeys and the mind drifts. Some think of home, a wife, a vineyard, a smell of bread. Others think of nothing at all. The emptiness is easier. The heat builds as the sun climbs. Sweat runs down your back, soaking the linen beneath your armor. Dust coats your tongue. You swallow and taste iron. Sometimes, when the road stretches empty, you lift your head and look around. Hills roll away in every direction. The horizon never changes. It's humbling. How far a man can walk and still not arrive anywhere. You march in centuries, groups of 80 men, each under one centurion. The standard bearer keeps the pace, eyes forward, carrying the signum high. That banner is your direction, your purpose. Lose sight of it and you are lost. It marks the heart of the unit, the pulse of Rome itself. When the order to halt comes, the sound travels down the line like a wave. The first men stop, plant their shields, and kneel. You drop your pack, stretch your shoulders, and roll your neck. Relief lasts seconds. You eat a crust of bread, take a sip of watered wine, then shoulder the pack again. Breaks are short by design. Comfort dulls discipline. The worst part is not the pain. It's the sameness. Every road looks like the last. Every mile feels borrowed from yesterday. You walk through landscapes that never remember you. Forests, plains, dusty ridges. To a legionnaire, the world is a series of roads leading nowhere but forward. By afternoon, the air shimmers. Heat rises off shields like smoke. Your arm aches from holding the scutum. You shift it now and then, swapping sides, keeping balance. The men beside you do the same, almost in sync. It's strange how even suffering becomes uniform. You begin to understand why enemies feared the legion. It wasn't numbers. It was unity. 1,000 men breathing as one. When a horn calls again, it's the sweetest sound you can imagine. You stop. The order spreads, camp here. The line halts, weapons down. Some men drop to one knee. Others fall back onto the dirt, staring at the sky. You made the distance. Tomorrow you'll do it again. The march is more than movement. It's a lesson I knew that strength isn't loud. It's quiet, repetitive, endless. Each step, each breath, each blister builds the thing Rome values most. Endurance. As evening shadows stretch across the plain, you realize something simple. You are not walking toward victory. You are walking toward survival. And in the Legion, that's enough. The order comes before the sun dips. Make camp. The line halts, dust settling over armor and faces. No one waits for a second command. Every man knows what to do. The pack hits the ground, the tools come out, and a field turns into a fortress. First they mark the ground. Surveyors pace the area, measuring out streets and gates with ropes and poles. The Legion's grid never changes. It's muscle memory by now. The headquarters tent stands in the center, the heart of the camp. From there, lines stretch outward like veins. Every tent, every fire, every ditch has its place. Order first, rest later. The digging begins. Shovels bite the earth, rhythm steady, no shouting needed. Each soldier clears his section, piling dirt inside the perimeter to raise a wall. This isn't decoration, it's survival. A fast camp means fewer surprises after dark. You dig harder because you know what happens to legions that don't. Within an hour, the fossa, the ditch, runs around the site. Behind it, the vallum rises, sharpened stakes planted at angles. A legion can carve a fortress out of nothing in less than 3 hours. No city, no tribe, no enemy moves faster. It's not strength. It's system. Once the defenses stand, streets take shape. You can walk through any Roman camp and know exactly where you are. The command tent, the granary, the blacksmith, the animal pens, each in its place, as if stamped from a mold. Familiarity brings calm. In a world of shifting ground and endless roads, a Roman camp always feels the same. Inside, life returns. Fires crackle. Pots clang. Some men unpack rations. Others stack shields or sharpen tools. One repairs a broken sandal strap. Another checks the edge of his gladius with a thumb. No one wastes motion. You can tell how long a man has served by how little he talks while he works. The centurion moves through the rows, eyes sharp. He looks for weak walls, crooked stakes, or lazy hands. Every mistake is a threat. He knows the enemy might be watching, even miles away. You never leave an opening. The camp is both home and armor. When the horn sounds again, the digging stops. The outlines are clear, the walls high, the trenches deep. You stand back and see the transformation. Where there was nothing, now there's Rome. It's a strange power, the ability to impose order on chaos with nothing but shovels, sweat, and discipline. Inside the walls, tents rise in rows of 8 men each, contubernia side by side. Fires glow between them, cooking the same grain porridge that started the day. Smoke curls into the sky. You can smell it before you taste it. Grain, salt, a hint of smoke from olive oil. Not much, but enough to feel alive. For a moment, laughter breaks through. Someone tells a story about a march gone wrong, about a donkey that ran off with a centurion's cloak. It's small, harmless laughter. But in a place like this, it matters. A shared laugh means the camp is safe. By the time the sun slips behind the horizon, the camp is sealed. Gates posted, ditches dug, fires burning low. The noise fades to a quiet murmur. The earth smells freshly cut. You can feel it under your boots, packed, solid, dependable. A Roman camp is more than shelter. It's a map of control. Wherever a legion stops, it plants the shape of civilization. Roads, symmetry, hierarchy, all in miniature. The barbarians see soldiers. Rome sees a blueprint. Every fort, every town that will rise later begins here in dirt and sweat. Before rest, you take one last look at the walls. They stand firm, lit faintly by the firelight. You feel the ache in your arms and shoulders. It's a familiar ache, earned honestly. Around you, 10,000 men prepare for night. Some write, some mend, some pray quietly to Mars or to home. Each finds his own way to face the dark. Speed made this place. Habit kept it safe. Tomorrow, the road will call again. But tonight, for a few hours, you have walls, warmth, and a fire to sit beside. In a soldier's life, that's a kind of peace. When dawn rises again, rest ends. The horn sounds, and men move without hesitation. After marching and digging, you'd think the legion could claim a pause. But the Romans know better. A soldier without training is a danger, to himself and to everyone beside him. The drills begin. First come the wooden swords, rudis, twice the weight of a real gladius. Each swing burns the shoulders, each block jars the arm. The point is not elegance, it's endurance. A real fight lasts minutes. Training lasts a lifetime. You thrust, block, recover, again, until your body stops asking why. Then the pila, the throwing spears. The centurion's whistle cuts the air. You step, aim, and release. The heavy shaft wobbles, hits the target, and quivers. You retrieve it, reset, and throw again. Over and over. The motion becomes instinct. Twist, lunge, throw, breathe. The drill master says little. He doesn't need to. Every man knows what perfect feels like. The field hums with rhythm. Metal against wood, sand under sandals, orders short and sharp. Sweat darkens tunics. The sun climbs higher. No one stops. The Romans train past fatigue, because battle will not wait for comfort. You see it in their eyes. Focus, not fury. The legion's strength lies here. When fear comes, there's no time to think, only habit. The drills are not just muscle work. They are thought control. They carve reactions deep into bone. When arrows hiss or shields splinter, you don't freeze. You move. That's survival. Next, formation practice. Sentries align shoulder to shoulder. Shields lock, forming a wall. At command, the front rank steps, thrusts, and withdraws. The line behind advances in perfect timing. You hear the scrape of metal, the grunt of effort, and the centurions shout, "Hold the line." In real battle, this wall decides life and death. No man stands alone. Every move depends on the one beside you. That trust is forged here. After a break, brief, no longer than a sip of water, they move to the testudo, the tortoise formation. Front shields forward, top shields overhead. Sunlight glints off iron rims. From above, it looks like one solid creature crawling across the field. Inside, it's hot, dark, and close. You breathe in the sweat of the man next to you. But arrows cannot touch you. Together, you are untouchable. Then, obstacle drills. Climb, crawl, lift, run. Weighted packs, stay on. The centurions bark time limits. Anyone who slows is shouted forward, pushed, dragged if needed. The goal is simple. Break the body now, so battle cannot. To outsiders, this looks cruel. But to the Romans, it's mercy. The real cruelty waits on the field when men who skipped drills die first. Pain here is cheaper than blood there. When the horn finally signals the end, legs shake, arms tremble. Dust clings to sweat. Some men drop where they stand. Others kneel and rest their heads on their shields. The silence afterward feels almost holy. You can hear only breathing, deep, heavy, but alive. A centurion walks the line, nodding once. "Good," he says. That single word carries weight. In the Legion, praise is rare. You earn it drop by drop. Later, as the camp settles, you notice something small. The men talk more freely. The edge of tension has eased. Shared exhaustion has a strange effect. It binds. You see it in quick smiles, in small jokes traded across the fire. The drills didn't just sharpen blades, they built trust. For Rome, that was the plan. Discipline is not punishment. It's glue. It turns strangers into a wall of men who move as one heartbeat. When fear hits tomorrow, these drills will answer for you. That's why they matter. You think back to the first day you lifted a sword. It felt foreign then. Now it feels like an extra limb. The same is true for every man here. That's the secret. Rome does not build heroes. It builds habits, and habits do not break. As night falls, muscles ache, but the mind is quiet. Fatigue wipes away thought. The campfire light flickers against polished armor, throwing glints of red and gold. Tomorrow will bring more marching, more digging, more drills. It's endless, and that's the point. In repetition, the Romans find strength. In order, they find calm. And in that calm, they find victory. When the drills end, silence spreads through the camp. Armor hits the ground with a dull thud, followed by sighs that sound more like groans. The men are spent. Dust clings to skin, sweat stings their eyes, and every muscle begs for rest. But before sleep, there's one ritual every soldier waits for. Food. Fires spark across the camp. You can smell smoke and grain. The Legion staple is pulse, a thick porridge of wheat or barley boiled in water. Sometimes they mix in cheese, onions, or bits of salted pork if supplies allow. It's simple, heavy, and keeps a man upright. They eat it from small bowls, sitting on the ground or a flat stone. No ceremony, no chatter. Just the sound of spoons scraping wood. Around you, small groups form near each fire. Contubernales, tent mates, share everything. The food, the laughter, even silence. A man breaks a piece of bread in half, hands it over without a word. Another pours a little pasca, water mixed with sour wine vinegar. It tastes sharp, rough on the throat, but better than nothing. They raise cups in quiet toasts to another day done. These moments are small, but they matter. After miles of marching and drills, this is the reward. Not luxury, not comfort, just warmth, a full stomach, and company. It's here that bonds deepen. You hear stories about home, about wives, about children who may be grown by the time these men return. Some talk about the cities they've passed. Others talk about nothing at all, staring into the fire until thought drifts away. Once the bowls are empty, work begins again. Every man maintains his own kit. Swords are wiped clean, edges checked for nicks. The pila tips are examined, splinters in the shafts scraped smooth. Sandals are inspected. Nails are hammered back where the leather's worn thin. Each soldier becomes his own blacksmith, tailor, and cobbler. Neglect means death, so care is constant. Mail shirts, Larica Hamada, are repaired link by link. You sit cross-legged with pliers in hand, replacing a broken ring, tightening another. It's tedious, but there's rhythm in it. You work by firelight, shoulders aching, eyes half closed. This is how a legion survives, not by glory, but by maintenance. In the background, laughter rises again. Someone rolls dice carved from bone. Another bets a coin he can throw farther. The game doesn't matter. It's the distraction that counts. Some carve small charms from wood, gods, animals, lucky symbols, tokens to hang from belts or wear under armor. Others write letters home on thin wooden tablets. The handwriting is shaky, but every word is a bridge to another life. A few men carry small trinkets from family, a ring, a cloth, a stone from their village. They keep them close, hidden, touching them when fear creeps in. These are their reminders that they were someone before the Legion. That when this ends, if it ends, they can be that person again. Not all use words. Some just sit in silence, eyes fixed on the flames. You can see it, the tired stare of someone counting years still left to serve. 25 years is a lifetime. By the time a soldier earns discharge and land, his youth is long spent. Yet no one complains. Complaints waste air, and Rome does not listen. Still, there's a kind of peace here. Among men who live and eat together, even silence feels shared. No one is alone. In the Legion, solitude is the enemy. Companionship, even wordless, keeps you human. As night deepens, the fires burn lower. Shadows stretch across the camp walls. The smell of smoke and cooked grain hangs thick in the air. You lean back, feeling the ground's hardness through your cloak. It's not comfort, but it's familiar. That's enough. You glance at the faces around the fire, rough, scarred, unshaven, and realize something simple. None of them are here for glory. They're here to get through another day together. That's the truth behind every statue and victory march. The empire stands because men like these keep their swords sharp, their sandals patched, and their hearts steady. Tomorrow they'll march again, but tonight they eat, repair, and rest, small joys that make the endless road bearable. The camp quiets, fires fade to embers, and the murmurs fall away. Only the hiss of cooling metal and the soft rustle of canvas break the silence. Most men lie wrapped in cloaks, their breath rising in slow rhythm. But not everyone sleeps. For some, the hardest hours are just beginning. The night watch. Every soldier takes his turn. It's not punishment, it's duty. The guards are chosen, in shifts, moving through the dark to their posts along the vallum and the gates. You shoulder your shield, grip your spear, and step into the cold. The camp feels different now, smaller, more fragile. The world beyond the ditch is black and endless. Every shadow could be something. Your eyes struggle at first. The firelight spoils your vision, so you look away from it, letting the darkness settle in. Slowly, shapes emerge, stakes, mounds, the faint line of the trench. You listen, really listen. Crickets, wind, maybe a distant stream. Then, a snap of twigs. You freeze. The hand tightens on the spear. Nothing follows, just silence again. But your pulse stays fast. Hours on watch stretch longer than any march. You shift weight from one leg to another, counting heartbeats. The cold crawls under your armor. You think of the men sleeping behind you, your contubernals, and remind yourself why you stand here. If you fall asleep, they might never wake. That thought keeps you upright. Sometimes the fear isn't of enemies. It's of your own mind. Fatigue plays tricks. A bush becomes a man. A sound becomes a whisper. You blink hard, force your focus back. You can't let imagination win. In battle, courage means facing spears. In the dark, courage means standing still. You whisper the password to the next sentry as he passes. He nods, moves on. You watch his silhouette disappear, a reminder that you're not entirely alone. Somewhere along the perimeter, dozens of others keep the same vigil. A ring of wakefulness encircles the camp. If two men stand post together, sometimes they talk in low voices. Stories, jokes, fragments of memory. It's not conversation for company. It's survival. Words keep the mind from slipping. You talk about food you miss, about a warm bath, about the scent of home soil after rain. Then you stop. Thinking of home hurts. When the wind picks up, the stakes hum softly. The sound is strange, almost musical. You start counting again, waiting for the next change of guard. You think about how many nights like this you've stood. How many more will come? 25 years of service. Thousands of watches. It's not the battles that break a man. It's the waiting. Sometimes, far off, you see faint light, a village fire, a passing caravan. It reminds you how wide this empire is. You're a single guard in one camp, one dot on a map that stretches from deserts to snow. And yet, Rome trusts you to hold this line. That thought steadies you. As the night deepens, your eyelids grow heavy. You bite your lip, stamp your foot, anything to stay awake. Sleep is the enemy here. Fall once, and the centurion's punishment will be the least of your worries. In this, army failure costs more than your life. It risks everyone's. You think about what keeps you here. Not orders, not pay. It's the faces in the tent, the men you eat beside, march beside. You guard them the way they'll guard you tomorrow. That's what binds the legion together, not loyalty to emperors, but to each other. The sky begins to pale at the edges. The first gray light creeps over the horizon. You blink, unsure if it's real. Then, a horn sounds, faint, distant, like a promise. The shift ends. You hand over your post, shoulders heavy, eyes burning. You return to camp quietly, stepping between sleeping bodies. The warmth of your cloak feels like heaven. Lying down, you listen one last time to the night beyond the wall. The rustle of leaves, the call of a bird. No attack came. No alarm sounded. That means you did your job. You close your eyes. The last thought before sleep is simple. You stood your ground. In a world built on vigilance, that is victory. The camp stirs before sunrise. The horn hasn't sounded yet, but the soldiers wake out of habit. Years of service carve routine deeper than sleep. A few coals still glow in the fire pits. Someone stirs the ashes, adds dry twigs, and sparks rise into the fading dark. Another day begins. For the Roman soldier, faith isn't just temples and sacrifices. It's survival. Before a march or battle, many whisper a quiet prayer. To Mars for courage, to Fortuna for luck, to the household gods they left behind. Some carry tiny idols carved from bone or bronze. Others keep smooth stones blessed by priests before they departed Rome. You see one man kiss a charm before lifting his armor. Another traces a small symbol on his chest. The gestures are quick, private, but they matter. Faith for them is not only divine, it's also human. The Legion itself is a religion of routine. Horn calls, ranks, drills. Each order obeyed is an act of belief. You trust the man beside you. You trust the centurion's voice. You trust that doing your task, no matter how small, keeps the whole alive. That trust is the thread holding 10,000 lives together. Among the contubernium, that trust becomes something stronger. You've marched, dug, trained, and watched through endless nights with these men. You've shared hunger and fear, laughter and silence. When one falters, the others lift him. When one falls ill, they take his share of the load. Bonds like that outlast campaigns. For many, they outlast families. It's in the small acts. A shared drink, a mended strap, a quiet joke in the rain. Those moments remind each soldier that beneath the iron, they are still human. Rome may call them instruments of conquest, but they know better. They are men surviving together. During brief lulls, the soldiers talk about home. The conversations always sound the same. A vineyard, a market, a mother's cooking. For some, those memories blur with years. Yet they speak of them anyway, as if saying the words keeps them real. Others have no home to recall, only the Legion. For them, the campfire is family, the march is home. The centurion walks past, his face unreadable. Even he, hardened by decades, nods once to a familiar voice or smile. In the Legion, rank divides duty, not dignity. Every man faces the same cold, the same miles. That equality breeds respect deeper than orders. As dawn brightens, priests move through the camp offering small rites. They burn incense, murmur blessings. The smoke curls upward, mixing with the morning mist. Some men join the prayer. Others watch in silence. Whether they believe or not, the ritual steadies them. In a world ruled by chance and chaos, routine feels sacred. Beyond gods and chance, every man believes in something. The sharpness of his sword, the sound of his comrades breathing beside him, the certainty that the sun will rise again. That simple faith, in pattern, in people, keeps the Legion from breaking. Soon the horn sounds. The signal to pack. Tents drop. Stakes pulled. Fires doused. Within minutes, the fortress becomes a field again. Nothing left but trampled grass and faint ash. The Legion leaves no trace, yet every camp feels the same. You could wake in Britain or Syria and still know the order of things. As you shoulder the pack, the familiar ache returns. It's not punishment. It's proof you've survived another day. Around you, men adjust straps, stretch arms, tighten belts. No one complains. Complaints don't move armies. The sun rises, lighting the helmets like molten gold. The centurions call ranks. Shields lift. The standard rises high, catching the light. The air hums with readiness. Another road, another day. Before the column moves, one soldier glances at the man beside him. A nod, nothing more, but it means everything. A promise. We go again. We endure. That is Rome's true strength. Not emperors or victories carved in stone. It's the quiet resilience of men who wake, march, dig, and fight, because others depend on them. Heroism here isn't loud. It's persistence. As the Legion steps forward, dust rises underfoot. The sound grows, steady, relentless, familiar. You realize this is what makes them invincible. Not divine favor, not luck, but the simple, stubborn faith that tomorrow will come, and when it does, they'll be ready. The sun climbs higher. The horizon stretches ahead. Another 20 miles. Another camp. Another night watch. For the Roman soldier, life is repetition. But in that repetition lies purpose. And when dawn breaks again, they'll do it all once more. Together. Every empire tells stories of heroes, men who conquered, ruled, and changed history. But the true story of Rome was built in silence. It lived in the footsteps of soldiers who marched farther than maps, who dug fortresses into foreign soil, and who stood guard when the world around them slept. They weren't chasing glory. They were chasing survival. Each sunrise, each watch, each shared meal turned ordinary men into the backbone of an empire. That's the legacy of the Roman soldier. not statues or speeches, but endurance. If you felt the weight of that life, share this video with someone who values real history. Subscribe for more stories that strip away myth and show the truth behind the armor. And tell me in the comments, what would have been your hardest test in a Roman soldier's day? The march, the drills, or the long silent night?